The Blue Jays are getting serious about their offseason plans, and we just got confirmation of 3 specific trade targets that management is apparently looking at hard. These aren't just random speculations. This is coming from actual sources close to the organization, and when you break down what these moves would mean for Toronto's roster construction, things get really interesting really fast. So let's jump right into it. You know, the first name on this list is Joe Ryan from the Minnesota Twins, and this actually isn't new. The Jays were connected to Ryan at last year's trade deadline, but nothing materialized. Now the Twins are in a different position. They've already started selling off pieces. They moved guys like Jorge Polanco. They moved relievers like Johan Duran and Griffin Jax at various points. They got Lewis Varland earlier. The Twins could absolutely continue their rebuild, and that includes potentially moving their ace, Joe Ryan. Ken Rosenthal has reported recently that the Twins are open to trading more players with value, and Joe Ryan fits that description perfectly. Now, here's what makes Ryan interesting for Toronto. This guy is a workhorse. He consistently gives you innings, and he gets the job done year after year despite not having the flashiest stuff. He doesn't throw 98 miles per hour. His advanced analytics aren't always elite, but the results are there. He eats innings, he keeps his team in games, and he's been remarkably consistent. The question becomes, would you rather trade prospects for Joe Ryan or spend money on someone like Ranger Suarez or go all in on Roki Sasaki? Personally, if I'm choosing between trading assets for Ryan versus signing a free agent starter, I'm probably leaning toward free agency. Save your prospects, use your financial resources. Ben Nicholson-Smith has reported that there's no doubt the Jays are going after multiple starting pitchers this offseason, so maybe they do both. Maybe they sign someone and trade for Ryan as a complimentary piece. But here's the reality. Joe Ryan is going to cost a significant package. He's not on a long-term deal, which might lower the price slightly, but the Twins aren't just giving him away. This is their ace we're talking about. If you're going to trade for a starting pitcher who's good but not elite, you'd probably rather just sign someone in free agency where you don't have to surrender prospects. I think Ryan becomes the backup plan if they strike out on their top free agent targets. Now, the second name is fascinating because of the timing and the situation. Sonny Gray. According to John Denton of MLB.com, Cardinals president of baseball operations Chaim Bloom spoke about the possibility of moving their veteran ace. Bloom said there's a possibility because Sonny's in a different situation. He signed in St. Louis for a reason and has been happy, but he's more open than he's been in the past to considering different possibilities given where he's at in his career. Let's talk about what we're looking at here. Sonny Gray is 36 years old. Last year he posted a 4.28 ERA. The year before that, 3.84. The year before that, 2.79. So yes, he's trending in the wrong direction, and yes, he's aging. But here's the thing. He wouldn't cost much in terms of prospects or salary. He's coming off his worst season in a long time. His value is arguably at its lowest point in years. So why would the Blue Jays want him? Think about it strategically. If they go out and sign Ranger Suarez or Lance Sasaki, you've got your frontline starter. But there are still question marks throughout this rotation. What version of Jose Berrios are we getting? Trey Savage, I think he'll be fine. But there are questions. Kevin Gausman is steady, but he's thrown close to 200 innings 3 years running. That workload adds up. Shane Bieber is coming off Tommy John surgery. Sonny Gray could be the perfect depth addition. If he's not your only starter acquired, if he's your third or fourth move on the pitching staff, suddenly this makes a lot of sense. He's posted 200 strikeouts in back-to-back years. His advanced analytics are still pretty solid despite the ERA. And most importantly, he's not going to cost much in terms of trade value or financial commitment. Now, if Sonny Gray is your only pitching addition this offseason, that's a problem. You still need that frontline arm. But as a complementary piece alongside a bigger acquisition, that's intriguing. And Ross Atkins came out 16 days ago, back on November 6th, and said they've already been involved in trade talks for starting pitchers. So they're definitely exploring this market. You could also argue that if you believe in Eric Loiziga or Bowden Francis as depth pieces, maybe you don't need Sonny Gray. Maybe you'd rather save those assets, even if they're minimal, and bet on internal options. But Gray brings veteran experience, postseason pedigree, and the ability to handle a significant workload even as he ages. That has value. The third target is the one that gets me most excited, but also costs the most. Ketel Marte. Now, the article suggests this would only be necessary if Bo Bichette doesn't return to Toronto. Technically, Marte can play center field and corner outfield spots, so in theory, you could keep Bo and still acquire Marte. But let's be realistic. You're not trading a massive prospect package for Ketel Marte to play him out of position when his value is maximized at second base. This becomes an option if Bo leaves. Let's say Bo walks or gets traded. You sign Kyle Tucker for the outfield, then you swing a blockbuster trade to bring in Ketel Marte to play second base. Now you're talking about one of the best hitting second basemen in baseball, elite advanced analytics, truly an incredible hitter. 893 OPS last year, 932 the year before, 843 the year before that. This guy is as consistent as they come at producing elite offensive numbers. If Bo leaves and you pivot to Marte, you'd have Adrelton Jimenez at shortstop and Spencer Horwitz at third base, depending on how other moves shake out. Ernie Clement becomes your super utility guy. You'd probably have to include someone like Arjun Nimala in the trade package, and he's as close to untouchable as any prospect in the system right now. The Diamondbacks would ask for a king's ransom. But here's the counter argument. If you re-sign Bo and land Kyle Tucker, you're already in really good shape. If you just re-sign Bo and add a great starting pitcher, you're still in solid position. A lot of this hinges on whether Bo is willing to return and whether he's willing to play second base so Jimenez can stay at short where he maximizes his defensive value. We saw what Jimenez did in the playoffs. They went on that incredible run. It fell short, but his defense at shortstop was spectacular. If you do get Marte and want him in left field for some reason, that opens up the possibility of trading Nathan Luedge for pitching help. Don't rule out a Luedge trade for a low-end starter or quality bullpen arm, especially if they land Tucker. Then it's an easy swap. Tucker takes over left field, you move Luedge for pitching depth, and suddenly your roster looks completely different. The bigger picture here is that Ross Atkins said on November 16th that the free agent class looks a little better than usual and that the Blue Jays have already begun trade talks about starting pitching. So this isn't speculation. This is confirmation that they're actively working multiple fronts right now. Here's my take on these three targets. Joe Ryan is the safe backup option if free agency doesn't work out. Sonny Gray is the cheap complementary piece that makes sense if you land a bigger fish first. Ketel Marte is the home run swing if Bo leaves and you want to maintain elite production up the middle while adding Kyle Tucker to the outfield. The common thread through all of this is starting pitching. That's clearly the priority, whether it's through free agency with guys like Suarez or Sasaki or through trades for guys like Ryan or Gray. They're going to add arms, multiple arms, and depending on what happens with Bo, they might make a massive offensive move too. You know, we're getting close to the winter meetings now. Things are going to accelerate rapidly over the next couple of weeks. The Jays are positioning themselves to be aggressive in both the trade market and free agency. After years of standing pat and watching other teams make the big moves, it finally feels like Toronto is ready to be the aggressor. Let me know which of these three targets you'd most want to see in a Blue Jays uniform.